tomorrow. Deep down in her marrow, yeah, there is all kinds of sorrow. An angel trapped on earth, she's unaware of her worth, wasted and wearing away. You can only watch her fade. She's gone before the snow. On her pillow she leaves a rose, sneaking out on her tiptoes. But never hear her go. She's a delicate sparrow, here one day and gone tomorrow. She's gone tomorrow. She's gone tomorrow. Deep down in her marrow, there is all kinds of sorrow. She's gone tomorrow. She's gone tomorrow. She's a delicate sparrow, here one day and gone tomorrow. She's gone tomorrow. She's gone tomorrow. Deep down in her marrow, there is all kinds of sorrow.
No breaks, earthquakes, a wrong turn is all it takes. You make mistakes.
Theoretically, can you hear me now?
Another heartbreak.
Alright, I can't hear you.
There's nothing certain in life. Some choices you make don't turn out right. You wake up to another day, hoping you'll see in a different way. Coast down, gather speed, look for comfort from this need. Might hurt, but I'll try to break or fall when we collide. There's nothing certain in life. Some choices you make don't turn out right. You wake up to another day, hoping you'll see in a different way. If I slow down, will you pace me? If I speed up, will you race me? Got this feeling I won't give up. Gonna race thee in life. Some choices you make don't turn out right. Wake up to another day, hoping you'll see in a different way.
Excellent. Excellent. I actually have to work because it's Sunday night, but just probably play some Oculus golf and some board games.
to haunt you. A lifetime living in a ghost town. A regretted wedding in the rear view. A renowned clown holding a crown. I could see the view. Doom falls all around you. Crumbling statues make no excuses. Voices echo back undaunted. A truth that goes unheard. A distortion wanted and exalted. A liar living in a fantasy world. I can see the view. Doom falls all around you. Crumbling statues make no excuses. The service makes you nervous. It's cruel. The fuel used to shackle you. I can see the view. Doom falls all around you. Crumbling statues make no excuses. Let's start a fire while the sun's dying down. Before the moon rises over burial ground. Offer it up, burn it down. Hear my prayers, the wishes that I spoke, burning the offering, the rising orange smoke.
she left behind of you is all that I can understand. The turn of the century, depth of my memory, extended reverie, all that you meant to me. It might take 100 years to let the next one get inside. Waited a lifetime shifting gears, but now my heart is open wide. The turn of the century, depth of my memory, extended reverie, all that you meant to me. The turn of the century, depth of my memory, extended reverie, all that you meant to me.
Choices come back to haunt you. A lifetime living in a ghost town. A regretted wedding in the rear view. A renowned clown holding a crown. I can see the view. Doom falls all around you. Crumbling statues make no excuses. Voices echo back undaunted, a truth that goes unheard, a distortion wanted and exalted, a liar living in a fantasy world. I can see the view. Doom falls all around you. Crumbling statues make no excuses. unshackle you. I can see the view. Doom falls all around you. Crumbling statues make no excuses. Let's start a fire while the sun's dying down. Before the moon rises over burial ground. Offer it up, burn it down. Hear my prayers, the wishes that I spoke, burning the offering, the rising orange smoke. Let's build a bridge to bring us all together before the time is gone and we've lost all we treasure. Offer it up, burn it down. Hear my prayers, the wishes that I spoke, burning the offering, the rising orange smoke. I'll do whatever it takes, give all I have to offer, just save us from ourselves before we're drowning underwater. Let's make a deal. We've run out of time. If the engine stops running, we'll have no peace of mind. Offer it up, burn it down. Hear my prayers, the wishes that I spoke, burning the offering, the rising orange smoke.
back to haunt you. A lifetime living in a ghost town. A regretted wedding in the rear view. A renowned clown holding a crown. I can see the view. Doom falls all around you. Crumbling statues make no excuses. Voices echo back undaunted. A truth that goes unheard. A distortion wanted and exalted. A liar living in a fantasy world. I can see the view. Doom falls all around you. Crumbling statues make no excuses. The service makes you nervous. It's cruel. The fuel used to shackle you. I can see the view. Doom falls all around you. Crumbling statues make no excuses. Let's start a fire while the sun's dying down. Before the moon rises over burial ground. Offer it up, burn it down. Hear my prayers, the wishes that I spoke, burning the offering, the rising orange smoke. Let's build a bridge to bring us all together before the time is gone and we've lost all we treasure. Offer it up, burn it down. Hear my prayers, the wishes that I spoke, burning the offering, the rising orange smoke. I'll do whatever it takes, give all I have to offer. Just save us from ourselves before we're drowned. make a deal. We've run out of time. If the engine stops running, we'll have no peace of mind. Operator, burn it down. Hear my prayers, the wishes that I spoke, burning the offering, the rising orange smoke.
Let the Kraken out. You don't vote a monster in. Drive a stake in the heart. You draw and quarter the limbs. Boiling volcanoes, you bitter breath. Anger grows from the depths. The toothpaste can't get back into the tube. You handed the keys to a hack and a room. Now he's driving donuts all over the grass. We wanted a donkey, but ended up with an ass. Boiling volcanoes, you bitter breath. Anger grows from the depths. Let the Kraken out. Prolong the drought. Who wants to do without? Who cut
Hello and welcome to everybody. I'm Tommy G, and this is BSS. Welcome tonight. How's everybody doing over there? I'm not hearing everybody.
Good, yeah. Awesome.
There's everybody.
Thanks, Tom, for doing this.
No
Yes.
problem.
Yeah. Are we live now or are we getting okay?
You are live now.
Ah, I see there's a delay. Okay.
What, on the internet? We're live
I
on the
wasn't
internet
ready.
right now.
So we have with
Yeah.
us Ken, Sam, Glenn, Martin, and Geach. And you're just some of, and I see Aaron in the background, you're some of BSS. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the band?
Right. Well, Glenn and Arden, you guys want to start? You guys
I
are
think Glenn and Ken need to start the context. One of them.
Okay, I'll start from my side of it because I probably brought a lot of this crew into Songfight. I was, moved to Berkeley in 1998. I was playing in some bands, and one of the bands I was playing in had been to the live event in San Francisco, and had come back from it. And we're like, oh, you got to do this thing. It's called Songfight, and I, kind of watched the website for a little bit, and eventually started participating. Sort of at the same time I was playing in non-Songfight bands, and that's how I met Glenn through some mutual friends that I was playing with, and Glenn and I started playing in a band. And while that was happening, Glenn and Martin, I think, had their own thing, so I'll let Glenn talk about what he was doing.
Yeah, well, Ken had his side project with all these Songfight bands. I was like, that's recorded stuff. That's not real music. Real music is in a room live with people. And so I brought Martin into one of those worlds, and we would improvise and record our jams, and just like hours of live jams, and it's like, oh, that moment was great, and we slice them down and like re-listen to the slices we liked. And eventually we wanted to get more structured songs, and I finally checked out Songfight, but I kept missing the deadlines because I wasn't used to the pace of it. But eventually we got on board.
I mean, the nice thing about Songfight, and just to summarize it, basically they post a title, and you have a one week to write a song to that title, and then you post it, and anybody across the world on the internet can do the same. They can write a song for the title, and then every single submission is listed, and then the community votes, and the glory of winning is just nothing. Like, there's no prize. It's just, hey, I won this week, and I don't know, for me, I'd been in a high school band that was kind of formal, and we had our originals, and we worked on an album, and we cut an album, and then I was in a college band, and then like after college I was in bands where we'd play shows, and we had our like 10 songs for an album, and we'd play those, and then we'd move on to the next album. And then just later in life, in the 30s and 40s, I still was interested in music, but didn't really have that focus to be in a band, of like a proper band that tries to promote itself and get shows. So what we were doing with Glenn, and then eventually with all these guys, was just like a collection of musicians that meet up to write a song and then move on to the next song. It's just for the moment, right? It's just it's a very zen. You're just living in the moment, you're creating the music, and then you move on. And so 10 years later, we have like 300 songs, because there's not this like promotion and perfection phase. It's just, whatever you got done that week or those 2 weeks, that's it, right? And so this is a little unique because we kind of went back and really took some 2019 material and produced it, and sort of formally made an album out of it. And I actually was kind of a slacker in the whole thing. I think Sam and Ken and maybe Geach were like more at the lead. Yeah, it's a great late life musician kind of context. So that's.
And then, so you guys used to jam in your basement, right, Martin? But in terms of like adulthood things interfering with music, that had to change. Or
Right.
Yeah,
I would say that
birth of the
this band is
first
really
child.
formed by Martin's wife more than anything.
Yeah.
Because when Glenn and Martin were playing in his basement, and Martin, when I was living in Berkeley, lived a handful of blocks away. So I got invited to come along. But it really wasn't until Martin's wife kicked us all out of the house that we had to find our own space and started bringing in other people. And that's when, Sam started coming to play, when Aaron would come and sing, and more random people could just show up and be a part of the group.
I don't blame Martin's wife as much as his kids because they were babies and they had to sleep.
Yeah, something bass drum at 10 p.m. like post infant baby sleep time was
crediting, not playing it. Okay.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes. So then, so you guys had to move. Was I involved with you guys when getting that practice space, or did I get on board after, or what was? I don't even know.
Yeah. No, you were definitely part of the move, because when I realized we needed our own space, we needed to sort of bring in as many people as we could to defray the. Not that I didn't want to play with you. Sam and I were already playing together already. It wasn't as if this was something new. And with Aaron, so Sam and Aaron were playing with me and Ken and the New Incredibles. We had started Loyalty Day as an offshoot of that in Songfight, and Tiny Robots, and all of these things were sort of happening at the same time. It's not that, one band led to the next band, led to the next band. Everything kind of overflows. So bringing Sam to play on this more regular in-person experience was a lot of fun.
And
I remember
we tried to lure you out of retirement a long time ago, and you came to our shitty garage practice space. What did you think?
It was fun. I had a good time, and then something happened. I had kids, and then and that was fun, and they're still here somewhere.
Well, let's not forget that even though Deech wasn't there, his Rose has always been with us.
Right. And what year was City and Fog? Because he played on City and Fog,
That was early days.
Yeah.
That was pretty early.
That was pre-IPO days.
Pre-IPO, before we put.
Yeah, I mean that garage. I guess our first space. It was this little. It was this drafty, dank, wet garage that had pirated electricity behind a dive bar, in like the corner of Oakland and Temescal, yeah, and then that place got so hip afterwards. I was like, oh man, we were like ahead of the curve there.
Now that's condos, and the dive bar was so important to the hipsters that moved into the neighborhood that they moved it out of the way of the condo development, so across the street they could keep it.
Yeah. And now we have a swanky professional studio in Jack London that Ken found.
Yeah. And like Ken was saying, each had a sweet vintage electric keyboard that we kept in our charge for all these years, and he was finally reunited with it when he came back.
It was brilliant, and you guys took great care of it. And that's the real reason I wanted to play more with you, so I can have the excuse to come in and hit the keys. Which I did with the song, I think.
I don't think I even knew you. I knew you through the keyboard for like almost half a decade.
I was a keyboard.
You actually appeared as a real person.
Like Genie out of the lamp, I came.
Well, should we segue? Sam, do you want to say something about the album and then segue to the first track?
Yeah, let's just cut through 10 years and get straight to the album.
Well, I don't know. We're getting a report that there's some kind of, maybe they're making an echo on the stream. Does everybody have their YouTube video down in the conference? Everybody's good even on their separate device or whatever. Okay. So 250 songs later plus. So we did a lot in 2019. So really, part of the reason for this album is that Ken traditionally was our engineer, being the most skilled and the best mixer of the group, among many other things. And then after, only 10 years, he finally got sick of doing that every time. Short timer, but anyway. I tried to step in and fill Ken's large shoes in that role, and he also did some of that as well in 2019. So for me, I was back to the songs that we made, and I really liked a bunch of them. And then I realized also that like I had the projects for most of them, so I was like, oh, I could just like do stuff with these things. Like that's different because that hadn't been how it was. So I was sort of like, let's make an album, you know, let's see what we can do. That was the real impetus there. And it was going to be a lot more relevant that it was like our best of 2019 when I had the idea in January 2020. But a few things got in the way and made it take a little bit longer to get out.
Beautiful. I think I figured out something was going on while you were getting. Sam, you're the only one echoing. So your first song is entitled Skeleton Key. It
Yep.
is the first album you have had out yet out of 300 songs. And this is the first one. So let's listen to Skeleton Key here.
I've got it in my hand, a solution for any situation. It's all according to plan, this familiar combination. Keep it out of sight, hidden away from view. A secret unfolding, revealing what is true. Skeleton key to all your secret places. Lock you away in all your hidden spaces. I'm everywhere you are. I have access to everything. Doors or gates or bolts or bars, I can get through anything. Keep it out of sight, hidden away from view. A secret unfolding, revealing what is true. Skeleton key to all your secret places. Lock you away in all your hidden spaces. I type your password in, your defenses are down. But did you let me win to keep me from getting out? Keep it out of sight, hidden away from view. A secret unfolding, revealing what is true. Skeleton key to all your secret places. Lock you away in all your hidden spaces. Skeleton key to all your secret places. Lock you away in all your hidden spaces.
And that was Skeleton Key here. And that was Skeleton Key here. What'd you guys think about that song?
It really represents the BSS just in every way.
Yeah,
I think I started playing that bass line, and then it was Ken's idea to put that at the beginning of the song, and I was like, that's a cool idea. And I think we did this without you in the room, right, Sam? You did all that other stuff later.
I don't remember. Yeah.
It was me,
It was
Ken, and Glenn. We worked it out, and I finally got you guys to do a song where the verse and the chorus were the same bass line. Fighting with you guys for a long time. So many parts. Stop. No more. Let's just play the same thing all the time.
But
We're
that,
always like,
that is clearly,
have 3 parts, and Geek was like, "That's too many parts."
Too many part. 2 is too
Three
many.
parts.
We
it's
got
always
2.
like, let's do 5.
We
let's
actually have
do
3
like
parts.
off time signatures. Let's the chords can't be simple. We need ninths and sevenths and diminished and like, yeah, I could see that driving Geek nuts. Yeah.
I like those chords, but just some of the greatest songs ever, the verse and the chorus have the same chord part.
sure, but some of the greatest songs ever have lots of chords and lots of parts.
I'm not against chords.
I don't think we've ever done that before either, right? And like hundreds of songs, I don't think we've done that even once.
There you go. That's my contribution. It's
Nice
the
to get
the parts.
some variety in there. Yeah, that's a good example of how like the members of the band sort of span the spectrum of like maximalist to minimalist, pop to prog, and we're collectively all over the place, and what we produce is sort of a weird averaging out of those things. I always sort of appreciated that we're different elements, hopefully adding up to more than the sum of the parts.
That's what you want every band to be, right?
So tell me a little something about the next track. It's called No Memory.
I have no memory of this song.
We did it for Neurine.
Yeah, it was Neurine number
Chiptune.
14, number 4.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it
I
needs-
played bass again.
And the challenge was you need elements of chiptune or computer sounds, and you'll notice that when you listen to it. And maybe we can talk about it more after the listening.
Who
All right.
made the chiptune part?
So let's go to it. This is No Memory.
It was actually
He's writing his what's that movie called? Total Recall-esque lyrics, and how good they are to tell that kind of a story. It was a good take on the title.
Perfect. All right, well, let's go to it. This is No Memory by Berkeley Social C.
Jimmy had a problem in his job. He couldn't focus 'cause his heart throbbed. Passing by her desk, he would cry. Been 2 weeks since she said goodbye. Seemed to
say the last chorus.
And that was No Memory here from Berkeley Social Scene.
Oh yeah, that's how that went.
That was an entry for Narayan, so Songfight is one online competition. Hopefully people can hear me. Maybe we should wait till we get confirmation.
Yep.
I don't know. I guess the
Can hear you.
confirmation.
It's on.
Okay, great. So Narayan's another related songwriting competition. It's a brutal elimination tournament where you have to keep writing a song after a song, and you're given a title and a challenge you have to fulfill. And we had to include elements of chiptunes or computer noises. So I went out and I used that as an excuse to buy a little fun, like calculator-sized pocket synthesizer, which came with all sorts of 8-bit kind of noises. And I think the night that you guys tracked it, all I did was make sleepy noises. Like you guys, I think it was like a.
Were you not there when we wrote that song?
I think I was there, but all I did was play with my synthesizer. You guys actually like did the work, and I was just trying to figure out how to get my synth to make a bleepy noise.
Right. I think that sounds right. I mean, that was another song I think that started with the bass that I was playing.
Yeah, Narayan is this interesting challenge because it steps up normal Songfight, which is pretty informal, and all the participants they just go all in because it's an elimination triangle, so it's kind of like the NBA Finals of Songfight, and it gets really intense, especially in the later rounds, and people people get really emotional about it, like I deserve to win Narayan, and it's just but I the challenges, you can get really dinged if you don't do a challenge, and I felt like this song not only delivered on the challenge, it used the challenge to set the song apart. Like it's so unique in the use of that, and maybe it's because Sam, through his subscription service, his Netflix for effects, or I guess he just bought it outright, but he got that special box. I think Geach's vocals were great and impart the urgency and pain fitting of a young man experiencing the equivalent of early onset Alzheimer's. It's just a really great song.
Memory cleansing services.
Remind us of the premise of the song.
Yeah, it's sort of like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Right, and it's I think the theme. I mean, it was called No Memory, so that was the title that we were given at the time, and that was the idea. Is just some sort of cheeseball trying to sell you memory removal services, and it's deliberately like the most generic kind of memories that somebody wants removed. Broke up with your girlfriend, or somebody shamed you or something. Becky got shamed, poor girl. So. That was the idea in the lyrics.
Just anything uncomfortable, I could just erase it. I can hit the erase button.
Just slightly uncomfortable, not
okay. Or mundane.
The most jejune, boring.
I waited in line at Disneyland for 4 hours.
I waited in line too long at Disneyland. That's how we were the third person.
Let me please erase that.
Yeah, I lost my keys. That's always a bummer.
All those times you say, I'll never get that time back. But you don't actually get the time back, which is weird. So it's a little strange. But yeah, anyway.
It just disappears. It's no memory.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go on to the next song. The third song on the album is called Two Hits. Do you want to set in with this?
Ken, I think this was during a period where you were writing songs about us being huge rock stars in our minds or something.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember writing that lyric, 1, 2, get me 4 on the floor. Some kind of dance thought, and everything kind of goes from there. But Sam, of course, made a great song out of it.
All right. Well, this is Two Hits by Berkeley Social Scene.
come down. Private jets keep you safe from the ground. Changed your name now, you'll never regret the folks you left behind, and you try to forget. 1, 2, make it 4 on the floor. People lining up outside of the door, making music while the audience screams. Keep the motor running on the American dream. Alone with your demons, they haunt only you. Push away anyone who tries to get through. You blame the world while you blame yourself. Every eruption, another cry for help. Put your back on the road, back in the studio. Whatever it takes to play the next show. 1, 2, make it 4 on the floor. People lining up outside of the door, making music while the audience screams. Keep the motor running. 1, 2, make it 4 on the floor. People lining up outside of the door, making music while the audience screams. Keep the motor running. 1, 2. Keep the motor running on the American dream. 1, 2.
And that's 2 hits here by Berkeley. So tell me some of the background on that song.
I'll,
Now I lost you. Hang on, let me try this way. Okay, go ahead and talk. I think you are.
Am I on the
There we go.
How about
There we
now? Good now?
Good now.
Okay. So yeah, I will repeat my spontaneous anecdote. Um, this song, I don't know. This song, Ken wrote the song, the lyrics, and it was just to me like, you know, we're mega rock stars, we're living the life, you know, it's epic. So we just tried to. I wanted to channel that energy of like, you know, rocking the hell out. I think we included gang vocals, which is something that we are like, hey, we're a bunch of people. We can do this really easily. It's something other like solo people can't do very easily. And it's just fun to like. Back in the old days, you could all stand around a microphone and shout at each other, and it was totally fine. So we did that a lot. It was cool.
Was our first gang vocal French tennis, would you say? Can anyone think of an earlier song?
It all blurs together, man. 250.
it's like that's too. It's a tough call, like. But I love the punk rock element, and yeah, the driving force, the four on the floor. I also love the arpeggiated interplays, like so some of the ringing guitar melodies that set up this sonicascape for the vocals to fill in during the verse. And then there's some nice intertwining keyboard bass in the intro that sets that up. And I love how everyone gets in on the action in the all too short but brilliant bridge. The bridge is really something special, and it's super short, but it just like creates this sonic space that I really enjoy.
I think it's one of the only songs that all of us play on, right?
It might be.
There aren't that many. I think we have 3 guitars in that song, right?
Yeah, that's one of the rare times since we had like a full house, all of us there in one night, and so a lot of times somebody will be like, I'll just play keyboard so we don't have 3 guitars. But this time we were like, we're going to have 3 guitars. Woo!
That's definitely a never happens event when I'm playing guitar. Like I enjoy playing guitar, but I'm almost always on bass. And I think that is one rare song, like 1 out of 100, where I played guitar. So
I think
that
it
was
just
fun.
was the case that I showed up before you and picked up the bass.
Yeah,
And then you
and
showed
I was
up, you're
like,
like, what do I
hey,
do?
hell yeah,
Play the guitar.
I'll play guitar, no problem.
Like,
Yeah, it was great.
New guy doesn't know that he shouldn't pick up the bass.
Well, no, it
I
doesn't
do
have
that
to
a
be
lot.
that.
I didn't know that there were rules. Why don't we just
We
play
all-
the same thing repeatedly?
We fall into our rut and
4 minutes.
routines in life, right? And sometimes we have to break out of the mold, and that was a break out of the mold song for us.
I'm pretty sure we wrote the music based on the lyrics, right? We had the lyrics first, and we're like,
Yeah.
what's
And
the riff?
a lot of these Ken had lyrics written before our first Tuesday jam session. We'd meet on Tuesdays every week, so a lot of time we'd show up with lyrics ready to go. And most of the time, unless Keith was singing, we would use those lyrics.
I like to change them, I guess.
Yeah.
Which gets into the next tune.
Yeah, the next tune is also implies the title of the album, in that the name of the song is "Secret Handshake," and yeah, maybe we should listen and try and search for the secrets while we're listening to it.
All right, this is Secret Handshake by Berkeley Social C.
I got away as fast as I could. I had no idea where I was going or what I would do when I got there, but I kept running and running and running and running. The rising sun had yet to burn off the morning dew. Blades of grass glistened in the sun as my wet feet ripped through them. I wiped my brow repeatedly with the back of my hand, my eyes stinging from the sweat trickling into them. I felt the beginning of a stitch in my side as the lactic acid started to build up. I kept running and running and running and did everything I could to keep running.
We're waiting for you. Hope you know how to get through.
I didn't know what road to take. I didn't know what case to make. I had to prove I wasn't fake with something more than a secret handshake. I turned the corner and sped down the alleyway. I was racing downhill, leaning forward, I almost began to tumble. I didn't look down, but I could feel the sidewalk starting to fall out below me. Every touch of my foot began to get lighter and lighter and lighter. It was like I was riding the edge of a cyclone. The world rushed by faster and faster than I could make out, but still I knew how to pour it on. Finally, I saw it way off in the distance. I ran and ran and ran to get there. Soon enough, I arrived. I sprinted up to the gate, and at the end of the street, I screamed, "Let me in, let me in, let me in, let me in!"
We're waiting for you. Hope you know how to get through.
I didn't know what road to take. I didn't know what case to make. I had to prove I wasn't fake with something more than a secret handshake.
We waited for you. We all knew that you'd get through.
I didn't know what road to take. I didn't know what case to make. I had to prove I wasn't fake with something more than a secret handshake. I didn't know what road to take. I didn't know what case to make. I had to prove I wasn't fake with something more than a secret handshake.
And that was Secret Handshake by Berkeley Social Scene. Guys, you had a lot of talking in the chat. What was going on behind the thoughts with that song?
That tune?
Yeah,
It's probably like the only one where we get funky, right?
Yeah.
There's a little funk to it.
And
Yeah,
I think I just kept playing that keyboard riff. I think the challenge or the optional challenge was play 2 chords at the same time.
Ooh.
And I
jazzy.
was doing that on the keyboard, and I just kept what I do often is I just kept playing the same two notes again and again while you guys developed something around that. And I think it came together really well for the music.
Yeah, we were trying
Later,
to,
well, we didn't have, typically when we do stuff, we don't have melodies when we're making the music. And I don't know, I was driving around over the weekend after we had done the music, and I thought this song, maybe we could do something. I was inspired by a Pavement song on Slanted and Enchanted, where Stephen Malcolm was kind of riffing on some nonsense.
Great album.
I was inspired by that. I can't remember what the name of the song is, but I was inspired by that and came up with some sort of like auctioneer style fever dream where I'd just be ranting about trying to make it to heaven. That was, and you needed some sort of secret handshake to get in.
This song has, oh, go on.
That was the idea. And Sam, when we tracked that, I don't think we did that many takes.
No, didn't you write the lyrics like on the spot too? The spoken word parts, basically.
I wrote the lyrics, most like in very quickly. Right, we were kind of hanging out while you were setting up, and I wrote it in like a half hour.
Yeah.
This song has such a great victorious vibe. I think it's my favorite on the album. I love Geach's whole cake talk vocal style. It's very unique for us to have such a sparse and repetitive lick in the setup at the beginning for the keys and bass, and the way the song breaks out into this like elated, harmonious chorus in contrast to the stream of consciousness thought dump in the verse is really sweet. The licky beginning, we were talking about it while listening. It's not like I never played bass that sparsely. I'm like kind of a busy bassist, almost it's like a fault, almost to a fault, right? Like I want to be a lead guitarist on bass, and I can't really do it, and so like you hear that sort of messiness when I'm playing. But this song, we were talking about it in the room. Like I think Ken and Sam, maybe more Sam, I don't know, but Sam and Ken are like live producers, and they'll just sort of correct. They'll be like, "You're a bassist. You play the roots. You play like this," and it's just sort of a dynamic, and I actually enjoy it. I'm like, okay, I'll it's actually sort of the life of a bassist is that you have to accept you're not the alpha. And so it's really their production craft that like sort of made that say like, hey, match Geach's keyboard and do the sparse, licky kind of funk thing.
There's the three elements kind of all interlock, like they all complement each other. Like each sort of plays at the head of the measure. The guitars are kind of in the middle, and then the bass kind of fills the end of the measure. So they sort of are like complementing and fitting and not stepping on each other. And yeah, I think that we were very deliberately trying to like keep it feel like there's space, but still have everybody play, but just everybody play a little apart from each other in a way where it's like the whole measure is full, but at no time is there a bunch of clashing like stuff going on.
One of the few songs that we have multiple singers.
Oh yeah.
Usually we just have one person sing all the way through, despite the gang vocal like in two hits. But like there are different parts that Sam, you and I are both singing, and I there's a call and response there that I'd like to do more.
Yeah, I like doing that too. We have done that in the past at various times.
And another song here.
Yeah. And over the years we've done it too. I think it like often we would just wind up where somebody takes the song home and does the vocals, or somebody does the vocals that night, and it's just quicker. We do whatever is most expedient. So it's nice when we have like a second session and multiple people can make it, and we get to do that. It's really fun.
I think that's an important point because I feel like when there's harmonies, vocal harmonies, it really makes the song a ton better. And the song fight format often rushes out the vocal harmonies because they take a little bit of extra care to like make sure they're in tune and they're actually crafted nicely. And so when we have a second session, it makes the song. It's almost an order of magnitude better when you can get a good vocal harmony on the track. And I feel like this album, just listening to it in reflection, a lot of the songs actually are, maybe it was the reason we chose them, but it was, a lot of them have that like backing vocal harmony portion, and it's really great.
That's all Sam. You know?
Yeah, no, I think in the post-production,
it's like, Keith, let's do another vocal. Let's do a vocal on top of that. And so in the chorus, like the first chorus, it's just me alone, I think, like one voice. And then Sam maybe put a harmony to that. And then the third one, the last one, I even have a high one that you can barely hear as a sweetener. And that was all Sam's idea.
You need the sugar, right? Like the sugar, it's not good for the diet, but it just tastes so good.
I love harmonies, and for me, a song without harmonies has to have an amazing lead vocal. And like, you know, we're all fine, but I don't think any one of us is like so charismatic a lead vocalist that some harmonies don't sort of sweeten things up a little bit. Definitely when I would like take a song home and finish it myself and do the vocals, I sort of almost, I think I put in too many harmonies actually. Like when I was remixing these songs, some of the feedback that I got was like, maybe don't have that come in so soon like you did. So I dialed some of it back for the album.
But that may be a good segue to our next track here.
So your next track is Right Town, Wrong Address by Berkeley Social Scene. Here.
Yeah, but we can talk about it after. This one has some differences. I think
on the level, but not the right time. I knew the answer. Also, I thought. I was so certain the search was right, but all the while it was just fine. Just fine. Oh, look at the lights here, so bright they're guiding me home, but I'm not yet quite there. Right town, wrong address. And so I seek rekindled flame, and if the embers can be the same, oh, could it be the same? I was left hanging, my heartstrings torn. If I could find you, I won't be forlorn. Forlorn. Oh, look at the lights here, so bright they're guiding me home, but I'm not yet quite there. Right town, wrong address.
And we are back. That was wrong. It was right town, wrong address, and cold ending, if I remember right. There's a lot of good eyes in there. Tell us all about that.
An ex-boyfriend stalker dude who was driven out of remorse to seek his ex-girlfriend's current place of residence to, in his mind, romantically serenade her back into his loving arms. And he gets close and is certain that based on social media and other clues that he's in the right town. But unfortunately for him and unfortunately for her, he never quite finds the exact right place. And so the song shows the perspective of his emotional journey through sincerity in the pursuit to elation at the possibility of success to reflection and finally realization that the whole scheme is messed and would ultimately result in only an awkward, unsuccessful encounter of pain and embarrassment and a possible icing of a new flame in the mix and finally acceptance of the loss and pain. And I think the music was successful in conveying this whole story and the emotional journey of the protagonist. And I like how the ex-girlfriend experience is essentially a virtual parallel universe which never actually occurs. He never shows up at her door, and but scenes of the story are still implied. And I don't know, I like this song a lot. Basically, when we're short on time, like 40% of the time or more, I'm the vocalist, and I actually have no vocal track on this album. But I laid the first scratch vocals on this, and Sam liked them so much that he replicated them even to the I. So I was happy to hear it because I feel like that original scratch vocal was fully conveyed in Sam's performance, and he definitely stepped it up to like a nice polished stance. So I was very happy with this song.
This seems like a good example of one of those songs where I wasn't there the first week and Martin wasn't there the second week, but I was there. So while Martin got to play the bass and do a scratch vocal when Sam does the lead vocal, I'm there to do hand claps and, lay down some keyboard parts or whatever else to put some icing on the cake.
The synth is important. The synth is very prominent in this track. And it wasn't the same track until that synth was there. And, but it all feels like we're all in the same room creating this thing, right? Even though it's very haphazard and who knows if Ken's going to be there next week, but then he lays this amazing synth track, which elevates the song all the more, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's another element of the time pressure. It's whoever is able to show up gets to do what they're able to do. If we have a second session and you can't make it, then, you're done. Or if you can't. So I think you wrote the first verse lyrics that night, Martin, on the fly in the chorus, but I think you wrote the second verse later on. So we didn't have a complete song with the scratch vocals. And then you couldn't make the next session, and so then it was I did my best to sort of capture the energy, but without imitating you. And it was fun for me because that's a very you sort of styled thing to do, the I, which totally remind me of Talking Heads or something a little bit. It's not at all something I would think to do, but I really enjoyed doing it once you put the idea out there. I was like, oh my God, this is fun as hell. I love going, worked out for me. I thought it was great.
Stomp the cucaracha. Okay, so the next one is Please Move.
Please Move. All right, well, let's get to this. Please Move by Berkeley Social Scene.
I keep expecting it to be Please Stop, and they're two totally different songs. But that's the song I remember most.
My kids do it all the time.
Damn, what day is it again? Clouded thoughts fill my head. Spent all night doom scrolling with an old friend. My morning ritual to dawn upon my nights, to prepare for my essential tasks. Make makes me think of better times past.
Alright, then it's all about you.
Fuck this year. As I feast upon my feed, it's so hard for me to believe that a world so filled with praise would repeat such a hate and follow such a snake. And you snake vendor, you haven't a clue what you put the world through. How dare you continue to spew all the bullshit?
Is this the first track with Paul?
Okay.
Looking down from 1,000 feet, vision so obscured. No mockers, all guys to show the way, with footing so unsure. I've been in this place myself so many trying times, but if you can't take a step right now, the rest will fall in line. Crashing down upon your head, no exit you can see, a little sign that it's okay, a smile you can free. I can see how you got here, twisting on the vine. Trust that if you step right now, the rest will fall in line. But please move. I know it seems impossible, but push through. Bright colors all seen all around what you do. You're not alone, I'm right here now, but just please move. I know it seems impossible, but so many ways that you can go. There's one that you can find. Trust that if you step right now, the rest will fall in line. But please move. I know it seems impossible, but push through. Bright colors I'll see all around what you do. You're not alone, I'm right here now, but just please move. Looking down from 1,000 feet, vision so obscured. No mockers, all guys to show the way, with footing so unsure. I've been in this place myself so many trying times, but if you can't take
And that's Plea Move by Berkeley Social Scene. Well, it was for a little bit there. They did a bonus one ahead of time.
Tim having got the whole song in there.
Yes.
So I think in that song, it was just performed by Glenn, Ken, and me. And I think I put down the ideas that led to the verse.
Well,
And then-
also
then you-
my
then
buddy
you-
Paul, right? My
What's
buddy
that?
Paul's
On the keyboard.
on
Yes,
keys,
Paul
right?
was there too. Excuse
First
me.
appearance, right?
Who's not with us today?
Explain the whole Paul thing real quick, then go.
Who's Paul?
I go back like 30 years with this guy. He's a friend of a friend from college and one of my automatic friends when I moved to the Bay Area. And he used to,
Whatever that means.
What's his role in BSS?
he's a music teacher down in San Jose, and he likes to play live and write music. And so in the summers when he's not teaching, he'll come up and join us for the summer. And
What does he do? He plays the keyboards.
He plays
He's a professional keyboard
great
player.
sax player, and he can play everything, right? He teaches, music to junior high kids. So
In this song, he plays the keyboards.
keyboards, yeah. He's doing the keyboard solos and all the organ.
Yeah,
He'll be prominent in the next few songs that come up.
yeah. We turn over to the Paul side of the album.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So this is unusual, right? Because Sam, you didn't participate in any of this,
Not involved.
and Martin, you weren't there either.
Nope. But I like the song.
Yeah,
I love the thumping beats and that please move and then the cool lick after.
It's cool that there's
It's an earworm.
There's a good distinction between the verse and the chorus. And I think the verse was me doing like a typical kind of groove on the bass that I do, which is in a bunch of the other songs. And then it's almost like, is it a key change in the chorus? I think. What? It's a totally different vibe, and somehow it works.
Yeah.
Who crafted the key change?
Lick and
That was Glenn.
Okay. I'm sure Paul enjoyed doing the key change. It just seems like a theorist dream to like.
I mean, he plays a cool solo. I mean,
yeah.
So I think he dug it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very Glenn lick in that chorus. Like, that Glenn came up with that part when you hear it.
It's funny because I wasn't really that familiar with Glenn at the time in his licks, his library of licks, but I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's a different vibe. And then after we did the music, like we do often, I took one of us, me in this case, took the music back home, and then I wrote the lyrics and did the vocals on top, and the ooh part. I was just feeling, although we don't do that much either.
Works
But
well.
that's pressing. It's very Glenn. Yeah, it's good.
All right, well, let's go to the next song. This is entitled You'll Know It When You See It, here by Berkeley Social C.
All right, more drink. Beer back.
Their audio?
With a custom tarot deck.
Yeah, it's the transition is perfect.
This is our song too. It's not like some other.
Yeah. Is it?
I like this one a lot.
The illusion reflected back at you.
Wait, people are talking about this thing.
We're talking over the track.
Made a living out of mystery, revealing it slowly, following all the crumbs, pretending they're holy. Can you see it all in your crystal ball? The illusions reflected back at you.
dancing, watching and listening, hinting and fishing, spinning and twisting. You'll know it when you see it. It's obvious and true. You'll know it when you see it. The scales fall from your eyes. You'll know it when you see it. It's obvious and true. You'll know it when you see it. The truth is not a secret.
And that was You'll Know It When You See It here with.
Oh, thank you.
So now you can say Sam's vocals were so good on that.
Sam's vocals were so good on that song.
So good.
For those of you who didn't see, I have already said that 3 times before we came on the screen because I think they're that good.
Right.
Triple good.
So Ken started that song off with lyrics before we even got into our space to like start making music for it. So I think I may have been like something, if we have the lyrics before we walk in the jam, sometimes one or more of us will start thinking about melodies and like trying to write to the lyrics. We don't always do that, but I think this was the case where I was trying to do that in my head, like write the music to support some melodies for these lyrics.
Lyrics, I knew I had the chorus first, and I had that "You'll know it when you see it. It's obvious and true," and that sort of spawned the entire rest of the lyrics. That was the first line.
So this is Martin. You're not on this track, I guess.
I love the Dorsey keyboards, the guitar tones. I love the echo on the vocals during the chorus, and I love the soaring crystal ball line.
Is Paul doing the bass line on the Ray Manzaneric left hand kind of?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It says Deech for bass on.
I'm playing the bass, but he's playing keyboard with the bass line.
Oh, gotcha.
Stuff.
That's the Dorsey bit.
Yeah. I think we got a lot of this track just that first night, and then I took it home and did the vocals, and then I threw in that keyboard, which you guys were asking about. It's called a Farfisa. I don't have a real one. It's a synthesizer, like a fake one, but it's just a really cool old vintage electro percussive keyboard thing.
A lot of like, obviously goes back to like the 60s and before, but also like in the late 70s with like Elvis Costello and Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
But so there's Paul on keys and there's Sam on the Farfisa, and like, how do you separate who's doing what? Like, you don't even care because it's almost like a Wurlitzer sort of.
Right. I put that in there because I felt like there were those moments where the song needed some more melodic content. Like, I'm a fan of songs where there's some kind of melody happening almost all the time, whether it's like they're really tight and they're singing all the time, or like when there's not singing, there's an instrument playing a melody. I just like that sort of like always something for your ear to hook on to kind of thing.
So is the Farfisa mono, kind of like one key at a time?
No, you can play chords. I just played a mono riff.
Yeah.
It was a little, I worry about that instrument in that song, about it being kind of like ear piercing because I can't do like a vibrato with it. So it was it was a little tricky to try to mix that in and not have it be kind of shrill.
Well, this is one thing I'll just note before we go to the next song is just, Sam, that's one thing that I love that you bring to the table is that what you were just talking about, like your craft for melody, like your assertion that there must be like a good melody to drive the song. I can definitely say from experience that I've witnessed you taking sort of a marginal input and just, like whittling it down and saying like, well, what if we like alter it this way? And then it just explodes. It's like, wow, that is so much better than before the Sam input. And I definitely appreciate that about, like your sort of hard stance that the melody must be strong. So thank you for that.
That's the number one thing that most people connect with right away is the melody. So it's like, I love all the instrumental stuff too. And like, I personally connect with that, but for your average listener, the melody is number one.
Speaking of great melodies, this next song.
Ken, tell us about it.
Color Me.
Don't see the world the way that others do. They have clear delineation. We have super saturation. And I knew I'd get you right from when I met you. I said my favorite number is the color blue. When you say my name, blue color floating in space. When you say my name, you color me in a whole new way. Flash a smile, you speak to me with light. Your words reverberation give me a strange sensation. And I knew I'd love you right from when I met you. You said your favorite number is the color blue. When you say my name, blue color floating in space. When you say my name, you color me in a whole new way. When you say my name, blue color floating in space. When you say my name, connected colors and shades. When you say my name, blue color floating in space. When you say my name, you color me in a whole new way.
I love the Ken vocals coming in, right? Like we have the alternate vocalist, and Ken does a great job. It's a great song.
Well, thank you. Man.
Yeah.
Well, this was one of the songs that we also wrote for Nurine. And it was, Color Me Blank. And you had to use a vocal sample. So I remember Glenn and I think, did a lot of this song. And I took a vocal sample from a band. It was a Song Exploder episode where they had isolated the vocals. So it's kind of easy to stick in there, which we removed for the album, so that's not there anymore. But Glenn had the idea of the song, which was something about confusing colors and numbers, and that's the sort of lyric of the joke of the lyric.
It was synesthesia. That was
For that affliction.
Yeah, synesthesia. And people have like weird mixed sensory perception, like they see numbers having colors, or like they see times as being in space relative to each other, farther away or closer, or weird things like that.
Yeah, and I think just because it was a Neurine song, we maybe had a little bit more time to make it sort of fit in both places, and it was just kind of fun to work on, and it felt more collaborative than some of our others because we had more parts to kind of fit together. Glenn, what are your memories?
I love your drums on this song. Like it's very Ken Maru drums. You know, just there's no other drummer who does that beat, and I'm like, oh, that's Ken. And then like I like writing to drums more than I like writing to anything else, right? So all of my parts fed from the drums. I remember that, and I'm glad you handled the lyrics because I didn't want to deal with that. Yeah, I love it. It's great, quirky, charming, very us song. So yeah, love that it's on there.
Ken is just P.S. the lyrical workhorse. Like I think Ken's on the very high percentage, like 2 standard deviations minimum. Like, you know, 60, 80% of the lyrics, like he'll throw down something. Yeah, I guess this was yet another. I love the wash guitar synth backdrop, the dainty guitar lick to complement the verse melody, and I love the space warp synth pre-chorus. It builds so nicely. I guess that synth. It doesn't. Do we have I guess it was a Ken synth, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just so good. I love the build there.
Well, if I remember correctly, the pre-chorus is where the vocal sample lived in the original version.
Okay, I was wondering about the vocal sample because I saw the challenge for Neurine, and I'm like, nowhere when I listen to this do I see a vocal sample. So you're saying it was just removed in the album?
Yeah, I just felt like why risk it, and like I played around with replacing it with a synth that sort of did the same notes, and I tried to give it a similar treatment with effects and things, and I felt like, you know, one less thing to be a possible hiccup on the road to getting this out the door. So
and made it, you know, do different melodies than what she was doing on the Church's track. So that's you know, but still, I didn't feel good about using it on the album either. So glad we didn't.
our lawyers told us we couldn't do that. Sorry.
Good explanation. So
all right, final stretch.
Birth and death have yet to meet. Tired flames, embers neath my feet. Dreams alive with harps and halos, while I wake up to sulfur and volcanoes. The voices tell me what I already know. I try not to listen, but still they flow. A silvery lady, tempting and ready. Gather conviction and walk steady. Unbalanced, afraid on the wire, farther to fall as you move higher. The net below, a tenuous goal, falling through to a 6-deep hole. The voices tell me what I already know. I try not to listen, but still understand the start and end of the same man. Wind blowing through the tall grass, another shot taken from another glass. The voices tell me what I already know. I try not to listen, but still they flow. A silvery lady, tempting and ready, gather conviction and walk steady. The voices tell me what I already know. I try not to listen, but still they flow. A silvery lady, tempting and ready, gather conviction and walk steady. Walk steady.
Great.
Excellent.
Right. Well, this started with Geach playing the keyboard. So, Geach, why don't you talk about that a little bit?
All right. So, like I've talked about before, this I like less notes, and so I decided to play just a 2-note vamp, and then the others came in with their thing, and it's all really based around that 2-note vamp. Although lots of great stuff happens on top of that, and Sam put on some great vocals.
And let's remember that all of these songs were composed in 2019. This one is the very first song, like the earliest of those 2019 songs. It was February. So it was basically 2 years ago. And this was, beginning of the calendar, probably one of the first Geach jams. And he came in with this very purist, like, I'm just gonna play 2 notes and see what you guys do with this, right? Like, and I think what came out of it was really great. Like it sort of enters into the late album stage where it just becomes more plotting and moody and sort of second act. And I love the outro part as well. Like it just builds on the plotting intro and kind of goes deeper into that moodiness.
It's got my favorite part on the album because it's got the guitar harmonies. Like Sam and I actually play our Thin Lizzy guitar harmonies for once, and that delights me beyond reason.
Yeah, it was like Geach showing up gave you excuses to indulge, right? Like you're like, yeah, let's
do this minimal keyboard part. Yeah, cool, but let's do guitar harmonies. Good.
It's so classic.
I think it's like what Mark was talking about earlier, is that we push each other in different directions. It's not always the thing you would do first, and maybe you were planning to do that guitar harmony, or maybe somebody else was like, what would be cool is if the two of you did this thing, and then you worked together to come up with something, or one of you was playing a part and was like, oh, what if the other one was harmonizing it at the same time, right? So it's one of the things I like about playing with this group is that you don't always go where you would normally go, or you would instinctually go. You get input that pushes you in a new direction that then can become your favorite part of the song, and it wasn't something you were thinking about when the 2-note keyboard part started.
Yeah. I think that's actually a good segue to the next tune, right? Which has a ton of different parts, right? It's our most complicated song, right?
I think so. This is
The Way It Isn't.
The Way It Isn't. So let's play The Way It Isn't here on we'll call it the Berkeley Scene listening party.
Summer is ending.
time from elementary when we were young and so complimentary. When I dream, everything you said lives on. A travesty, commentary on a life lived long. It's hard to give up on the one you love.
Hearts full of hope don't decipher the codes. When the lightest of spirits lift the heaviest of loads, they keep moving forward in narrow crossroads.
And that's the way it isn't here on the Berkeley Social Scene Listening Party. It was everybody playing on that song?
I didn't play any instruments. I only sang a little bit, but everybody else is on, and Paul.
Everybody sings on that song. Every single member of the band sings on that song, and that is but Ken's the lead, and Ken does a great job on the lead. Geach does like sort of the primary backing vocal. It's just a soaring journey of a song, and it's definitely late track, deep track, thumping, cycling licks on the bridge. It's just it's an all in. It's just like all the chips
And I
are
believe
on the
this is
table.
another 2-week song where we. Sorry, go ahead. What was that, Glenn?
The needles pointed to the prog side because Geach wasn't there on the first writing session.
I wasn't there to say that's too many parts. What's that elaborate Elton John at the beginning?
It was a go crazy.
But I definitely remember tracking the vocals in the space with everybody and really enjoying. I kind of came with a chorus and then a verse, and we were all working together on sort of what the melody was. And I think I even had done that chorus harmony first, and then Geach was like, "No, step aside, I got this, son." And then he like made it better. And then I really remember having written the bridge lyrics and having Sam just nailing it. And it was one of those times. I think this happens a lot with Sam, where he, let me just give you what I'm thinking about how this should go. And then you're like, no, that's how it goes.
I really
do like
that.
that about this song. The gang vocals that are melodic rather than shouty. Those parts of this song really has just a lot of real good Berkeley social scene. Like the best of Berkeley social scene is in this song.
It's a good close.
And
it's just nicely ordered.
We gave Paul
I'm not on this song.
Yeah, not everybody's on.
the best of Berkeley social scene 2019, as was the intention of the album.
Yeah. Aaron's on the winning songs of the old.
She took that year off. You were taking like a statistics class. It was real.
It's true. I was in school.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So this was a 2 Tuesday song, as Ken mentioned, and so again we had like different personnel. We had Paul the first night, not the second night. Teach the second night, not the first night. And do any of you remember how or why we came up with the let's let Paul take a big solo to start the song? Like I like that. It's great to have that variety in there. I can't remember though how that came about.
I think he was just playing that kind of power ballady version of what we were doing, and I think there was just an idea of let Paul vamp for a little while and then the song will kick in. And if I remember correctly, it was actually kind of hard to do because one of the secrets that we can let out is most of the time we play to a click track, and I, as the drummer, am the only one listening to it. So if there's no drums, then it's free time. So getting Paul to kind of play in time was a little bit of a challenge. So I think he did that, and then we started the song to a click, and then Sam used his studio magic to put it all together.
And
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I think Paul, like as Glenn mentioned earlier, Paul's a summertime presence. And if I'm looking at the dates on the tracks he was on, this is a July track, so it was a midsummer track. But then his other tracks are August. So he did basically 3 tracks, July, August, August. And so this was his first foray into, and so maybe we were like trying to highlight, we're like, hey, yeah, that's really cool, that's unique. Let you lead into the song. And part of the Sam Ken production, probably more Ken this time, choices was to have him lead into it.
Well,
Definitely without
whiteboard on this one. So
What's that?
I wrote the whiteboard, so that usually means that I was coming up with the progression, right? so that also,
I think also
it's long and complicated.
we wouldn't do a long keyboard intro if one of us were playing it because it would just not be good enough.
Paul is talented.
So this is for a song fight. You have like 10 days to put together a song, as opposed to like Narayan, you only have like 4 or 5 days to do that, right?
Yeah, song fight used to be every week. It's a little more relaxed these days. But we usually, I think for some folks in the band, Tuesday night jam night was their like get out of jail free card, kind of like you're allowed to leave the house and not be responsible for anything for these hours, and that's it. And so Tuesday night is, that was definitely where we would get the meat of the work done on the songs. So like a 2 Tuesday song fight was like, oh my gosh, we have so much time, we can go crazy with this song. Oh wow, total luxury.
All right, well, let's get to the last song for the album. This is called "Is This Real Life?" Here by Berkeley Social C.
We spend so much time interactive, our physical experience redacted to a digital simulation, a haptic feeling of salvation, a fantasy in tunnel vision, safe from natural collision. Is this real life? It's what we have left when all our souls are bereft. How will we know the afterlife from the warm glow of a flashlight? Explosion, augmenting a force display in a delicate pixel ballet in the space between fact and illusion. We give into beautiful delusions. Is this real life? It's what we have left when all our souls are bereft. How will we know the afterlife from the warm glow of
And that was Is This Real Life? That was the final song here of the band for the album that was going on here. Very good job, folks.
Right.
Was
Good
it
job,
awesome? Here we are 4 hours later.
Tell us a little
Lovely
bit about the
outro
track.
track. Lovely
amazing.
outro track.
It's amazing how songs that weren't recorded with an album in mind came together to form this group, and works as an album. And this is a fantastic closing track.
It really is. It's like the soaring, reflective, slightly melancholy thoughts on a fleeting life that passes us all too quickly. It's discussing fundamental truths of that we all face, right? And it captures that in the sonic scape that is created. It's good.
I really was inspired by Ken's lyrics. I sat down at the Rhodes and was reading the lyrics and thinking about them, and just trying to come up with a part and some melodies to support the sentiment of the lyrics. They were really good.
That's funny because I thought you had written some of the lyrics, and I remember like Googling tech terms to try to come up with lyrics that fit with what you had come up with. Something about, the first verse, we spend our life interactive. And then I'm like, because that's a very Sam line, right? We spend our lives interactive or whatever, redacted. That to me is very Sam, right? Don't forget the internet is a bunch of tubes.
I don't know.
That is Sam.
But I vividly remember like Googling tech terms to try to fill out the rest of the lyrics.
The funny thing is, now with the pandemic, there's this new spike in VR usage. Like Glenn and I are playing miniature golf in Oculus now, and it's just like this whole thing is. It's not very much melancholy. I mean, it's a great thing, but it's VR and sort of this like virtual world concept. It's gonna happen. It's gonna build, and it's just funny to like talk about it in 2019. Like
to your point, right? The song is much more about the time we live in right now than it was the time we were living in then. These lyrics, we don't really do that, but now I feel like we do.
And it's going to be all the more. In like 10 years, socializing in VR is going to be even more common, right? Like, so it's kind of strange to be on the forefront of that. It's something that you, as a musician, you can do. You can predict the future. You can talk about life, but
so we're going to do our next album listening party in VR, of course.
Is this the only song we have a false ending on?
I think so. Yeah,
we don't do that anywhere else.
Not on the album, no. Yeah.
Not on the album, yeah.
And does anyone remember why we wanted to do that at the time? Like sometimes we do an ending thing that we're going to fade out, and then I think when we get to the mix stage, we're like, no, it's awesome that it's so long, no fade. Does anybody remember why we did such a long ending to the song?
I don't know, Sam. You had that idea at the time, and then I think we played a lot longer, and you edited a lot of that out. I soloed for like another 20 minutes, I think, off that.
Yeah, I think we were just having fun, and we just wanted to jam. We were like, let's just jam out after the end of this. Like, do it. Who cares?
Isn't there a whole history of the fade where it was everybody did fades in the 70s, and then like it died out, and no one did fades, and then it sort of kind of had a second coming where fades were okay. And I think we discussed this at the time, where like to fade or not to fade, and like, is it in fashion now? And
my favorite
the current verdict on fade?
Where like at 2:30, the fader just goes straight down. It doesn't matter what's happening. It's 2:30. The 45 is about to fade out quick.
Right, that's why they made it
numbers.
Because they just didn't have the space, right? You'd have a song that couldn't be more than 3 minutes long, and so like, well, what do we do? It was too long. We'll just fade it out. We'll just get over it. They didn't have enough parts. They couldn't pay the session musicians to put in another part.
I think it's great. I think this 2019 album released in 2021. We did the long fade on the last song, and all in on the long fade. Like the long fade. I think it stands for the test of time. I don't think it goes out of fashion.
I like the things where it's like the fade happens on the recording, but you could imagine if you saw the band play it live that they would just stretch that out, right? It's like a teaser for seeing it live. You want to really hear this
When we play that live,
play it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, when we play it live, it's going to be a half-hour jam, right?
Yep. Thank you. Good night. We've just got one more hour of this outro.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys for being here. Ken, Sam, Glenn, Geach, Martin, all of you guys. You did an excellent album. Aaron. So I think it's neat that it's taken you 300 songs to get one album out. So I'm expecting more albums in the future. So we'll be able to do more listening parties.
Tom, thank you, my friend, for hosting us and handling all of the crazy technical stuff on all the other listening parties that you do. We appreciate so much.
Yeah.
It's been great to get to know you. For some reason, during a pandemic, I don't know why now's our time to like become best friends. I don't know. But thank you for everything you do.
Thank you very much.
And where can we find Berkeley Social Scene stuff? Is it Bandcamp? You can buy stuff. You can listen to it on Pandora. You can listen to it on Spotify. You have a website. You have a Twitter account.
All of
And
these,
got it all, right?
All
all
of
of
the
it,
YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Apple Music as
go
well.
to berkeleysocialscene.bandcamp.com if you want to give us some money, or if you want it convenient for you and we get nothing, then go to Spotify or Pandora or Apple and Amazon. Search for
Yeah.
Berkeley Social Scene.
You can ask your favorite assistant to play us now. It's epic. It's so easy to listen. Just ask and it'll stream.
So what they should do is go to Bandcamp, buy the album, and listen to it on Pandora and Spotify so you get double dipping going on. Because
Yeah.
you want to help out the band. There's no
Sounds
two
good. Yeah.
Well,
Subscribe.
thank you, everybody. Any last words that you wanted to say before we wrap it up for the night?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Great to see all you guys again. We haven't done a band Zoom in months, so this was fun just to hang out.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for watching and hanging out with us all. And you can replay this on the BSS YouTube site. Will be up in a little bit, probably a day or two, and should be turned around for that. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye, buddy. Thank you.